Hello everybody out there in YouTube land, and welcome to DC Fans United. So from time to time I'm going to cover topics that aren't completely, comic book related. Sometimes I'm going to talk about computer games. I've done that a couple times now, specifically talking about Diablo 2. So I have a lot of these really old, well not really old, but from around the late 90s, early 2000s computer gaming magazines. So this was the 200th issue and also the 20th anniversary issue of Computer Gaming World. So to celebrate that, they did the, Gaming's Greatest Hits from 1981 to 2001. So with that in mind, I decided I would make my own list. So I have my top 10 favorites, and as you saw in the title, I said from 1993 to 2001. That's because I didn't play games I wasn't even born this far ago. So their list is going to include some games that are older than mine. Mine only goes as far as from 1993 to 2001. And it's a little more heavily weighted on the 2001 as well. So I just love looking through these old magazines too, like you got an ad for Fallout Tactics, this first one. It's for Everquest. They used to put a lot of effort in. Well, they still do. We always talk about comic book art. A lot of times the video game art, especially in the promotional stuff, would be really good. So, I should have marked which page it's on, but towards the front here, they've got their list of... Here we go. So this is their... It's kind of cool how they did it, too. They've got their top 10 PC games from 1981 to 2001. So they've got the Reader's Choice and the, all-time, and then the ones from 5 years ago. So this is their list from 1996. So we'll go ahead and start off with the Reader's Choice. Their picks were really interesting, and they actually make sense. This magazine's from the year 2000, and it's interesting they went through 2001, but this was publication, a little early before it came out. But anyways, their number one choice was Half-Life, and it looks like they have the Game of the Year edition. I definitely played this around this time period. I could see why. I mean, I remember back in the day, Half-Life was always just getting rave reviews. I played it. It was definitely amazing and groundbreaking for first-person shooters in particular. I think it was one of the first... It was the first game to have scripted events. I remember that as far as, like, a first-person shooter. First time they did that. So Simcity is their number 2 choice. That's a really good one. You might see that on my list as well. But I'm pretty sure the way they did it, it's like a franchise. So this probably includes SimCity 2000. But in any case, this one's from 1989. Their third choice was Castle Wolfenstein. So I'm trying to remember if Return to Castle Wolfenstein is the one I played. But I definitely played this. This was one of the most influential shooters as well. While Doom, which is also on this list, was often called 3D, Castle Wolfenstein was more of a 2.5D. It was, as what they called it, was 2.5D, but it was pictures layered up. So it'd be like one soldier, but it'd be multiple pictures to make him look like he's coming at you. So anyways, it's kind of a little tidbit. But they ranked that higher than Doom, so I thought that was kind of interesting. They've got that as number 3. Wingcommander, which I hear about a lot. I kind of tried it a little, but by the time I did try it, the graphics were so dated, I was kind of like, I don't know. So they've got that as number 4, Doom's number 5. Starcraft is only number 6, which I think is literal heresy. They've got Civilization as number 7. Again, I think that's a franchise because there should be Civ 2 and 3 as well. They just put Civ 1. Whichever. I never played the very first one. Civ 3 and 4 are my favorites, though. Diablo, of course. Probably the best... I would say the best RPG of all time. At least American. I'm not going to get into like the JRPGs. But definitely the best hack and slash. Alright, we'll say that. The best American hack and slash RPG. Zork 1. I don't even know what that is. There was a time when I probably knew because I'd read these magazines and they'd talk about computer game history from like the 80s and earlier 90s. So I don't remember what Zork 1 is, and then they've got XCOM as number 10. So a pretty good list. That was the reader's picks. Now, I believe this was the editor's picks was the difference. So the editors ranked it a little differently. It's almost the same games, but ranked. No, they have some different choices. This is interesting. So as you can see, they've got Civilization number 1, Half-Life, XCOM. That makes sense. Starcraft, they ranked it higher. See, they have it as number 4. Simcity, High Heat. Oh, yeah. They were always into these baseball games. You can tell it's definitely an editor's pick. Grim Fandango, yeah. They knew ahead of time. That's like one of the best games of all time. Quake, of course. I mean, it's again a franchise thing. Like, I would have put Quake 2. Okay, MechWarrior 2, Ultima 4. I don't even know. There's so many Ultimas. All right. And then this is the list they had from 1996. So again, Civilization, Ultima 4, Mule, Red Baron, Doom, SimCity, Wing Commander, Empire. I don't even know what Wasteland is. And Falcon 3.0. It's probably a flight simulator that's now vastly outdated and forgotten. So, very interesting. Some of these games make it on my list, some of them don't. So we'll go ahead and take a look at it. I kind of thought it was interesting what they picked. So part of this, too, is I'm only able to make a list based on games I've actually played. So, like, or ones I've played a lot. So, like, Total Annihilation is from '97. I know it's a really good game. It ranks up there with Starcraft. Some people say it's better. But I've only played it a little, so I'm not going to list it if I don't have enough experience with it to really know. So first off, a couple honorable mentions, essentially my 11th and 12th choice. So honorable mentions, we've got Warcraft 2 and Mechcommander 2. So Warcraft 2, well, really Warcraft 1 and 2, were both really amazing RTS games, of course. They were some of the very first games I played. I remember playing Warcraft 1 and having this experience. I still remember it to this day. I know I was pretty young at the time, but I still remember it, okay? And RTS games are one of my favorite things. But what I remember to this day was the moment where I clicked on a barracks, and I was like, oh, you can make more soldiers. This is going to make this so much easier. Can you imagine? Like, it's just a funny thing to look back on and remember. There was a time when I was like, oh man, they've got enemies. How am I going to deal with this? And yeah, I built a barracks, and there you go. You just make more soldiers. So yeah, Warcraft 1 and 2, honorable mentions. Mechcommander 2 is also an honorable mention. The thing about Mechcommander 2 is it's a really awesome game. It doesn't get that much acclaim. Like, people always talk about MechWarrior, which is cool. It's a flight simulator. It's a mech simulator. So you could, you know, march around in a mech, and that was really cool. But the thing about Mechcommander is you have the command view, so you control mechs, like bunches of them, instead of just piloting one. You control the multiple mechs, so it makes it more like an RTS. At the time, they called it real-time tactics instead of real-time strategy, so that was kind of a its own genre. It was really fun because you'd have like a team. Well, you had a certain amount of points you could spend, say like 300 points. Each mech would cost a certain amount, depending on how much they, you know, how big they were or whatever. In each mission you completed, you could upgrade your mechs. Oh, there you go. Some good old advertisements back in the day. Right? But what was I even talking about? Mechcommander, but yeah, yeah, it was pretty cool. You'd just upgrade them and go from mission to mission. And it was a little like an RPG in that way. Like, you even had individual pilots for your mechs that had different traits, and they would gain experience and get better. But anyways, we're 10 minutes in, and I'm only on my honorable mentions. So, Mechcommander and Warcraft 2. So we're in the top 10. Let's see. My top 10, another RTS game, Red Alert 2. So I went ahead and included the year as well. So Red Alert 2 from the year 2000. Really amazing game. I've played a number of the Command & Conquer games, and I like the Red Alert franchise the best, particularly because I like the economy, the way it works better than in Command & Conquer, the regular series. like Tiberium Sun and all that. And what else? You know, just it's fun. The alternate history, the factions, the humor, the levity. You know, I've played a lot of RTS games, and this is one of the most lighthearted and fun. It's like the World War. It's literally World War III, but it's still like funny. There's all these little things like, you know, the Soviets have giant squid as one of their naval units. Okay, like there's all kinds of little goofy things. So that really made Red Alert 2 and 3, honestly, really awesome. But 3 was from like 2007, so it couldn't be in this list. All right, so number 9. You probably didn't expect this one, maybe you did, but Serious Sam from the year 2000. Now, this is the only first-person shooter on the list. I was never a big guy on first-person shooters. I played some, of course, on PC, like Delta Force 2 and 3 were kind of my big ones for online. But Serious Sam, really amazing. You know, at the time it was called Doom 2000. It was a lot like Doom, but again, so much more lighthearted. Like, Doom I never really liked because it's so dreary and depressing. Like, yeah, it's a first-person shooter, but it doesn't have to be inside. Like, I hate inside levels and everything else. But Serious Sam was like Doom, but really bright and colorful. Like, and you were outside, especially the first game, you were in an Egyptian... It was ancient Egypt. So the entire first game was in ancient Egypt. And it was a first-person shooter, like you used rockets and machine guns and shotguns and stuff and had to fight, you know, demons and skeletons and stuff. That was all really generic. But the thing about it that was so cool was Serious Sam himself, the guy you played as, was a really fun, like, one-liner action hero guy. The game was so bright and vibrant. And for 2001, it had incredible graphics and it could run on my computer, which was okay, but not that amazing. And I didn't have a 3D card. I played the demo for this, and I remember at the time the demo was it was like 35 megabyte download, and you could play the first couple levels. And it was so fun. Like, I played that to death, and when the game came out, I got it. Serious Sam 2 I also played, but I don't know, it just wasn't quite the same. Serious Sam really just it was like a perfect game. It's got all kinds of Easter eggs and stuff, like hidden things, and I've just played it to death. I could talk about Serious Sam a lot. My favorite first-person shooter. So then we will go to number 8. I have The Sims. Now, believe it or not, The Sims was a big deal in the year 2000, and really the early 2000s. It had a slew of expansion packs, more than 5, just tons and tons of expansion packs. I only really ever played the first game and the next expansion, I think, Live and Large. And then I tried the other games a little. But The Sims was really fun. I remember I got it for Christmas in the year 2000. So I was listening to CDs I got that year and playing The Sims. And it was really fun. I mean, it's basically an RPG, but it's a real-life simulator. So you level up your skills, like your cooking and your intelligence, whatever you want to focus on. Like, you just read books and your intelligence goes up. You want your charisma to go up. You practice talking in the mirror. And over time, they get better at talking. If you don't interact with other people, you get lonely, and like your social score goes down. And it's funny. It's really a balancing game, just like real life. Essentially, though, you have to balance their hunger and how sleepy they are, and everything, and make sure they get up for work on time. I mean, in some ways, it's a little stressful. It's like, why would you play this when you could just do your own life? But in some ways, it's really fun too, because you could do whatever. Like, I would often, I'd make a guy who would just be an artist, because if you paint or whatever, you know, paint pictures and stuff, over time you get better and better at it, and your skills in that, you know, your skill set there goes up. So he could essentially work from home, and, you know, I would just sell paintings and just buy what you needed. So it was really open-ended. And as the game got more and more expansions, you got more and more options for careers and stuff, but it also made the game laggy. So, number 7, Warlords 2 from 1995. Now, this is a game a lot of people I'm just going to flip through this so you guys have something to look at. But Warlords 2, a lot of you guys may have not heard of. I think it's really an amazing game, and I still play it occasionally to this day, even though it's from 1995. Now, graphically, it's not anything to write home about. The units are all like still portraits, but it's really an innovative and amazing game. Okay, so it's a turn-based strategy game like Civilization or Heroes of Might and Magic, but you start off with one city and one hero, and there'll be a whole map of cities, and then however many other players, usually 8 on a big map. But you know, it's hard to explain it all. But basically, you go and you try and capture all of the cities or the majority of the cities, and there's quests like you can explore ruins, and your hero, you get multiple heroes over time. They gain experience, so it's like a turn-based strategy game with RPG elements from a long time ago, and it was really fun. So Warlords 2 is really a good game. I absolutely recommend it if you can get it on Good Old Games or something. It's really fun, and the AI is pretty good. I play on, because you know, I played it since grade school, so I play on the hardest possible settings, but the AI is pretty good. Like, you can't let your guard down. They will get you. So that's Warlords 2 is my number 7th choice. We've got Heroes. I speak of Heroes of Might and Magic. Went with Heroes of Might and Magic 2. I've played 2 through 5. Obviously, I'm restricted to games before 2001, but I found 2 to probably be the best of them all. Essentially, it kind of set the standard that all the others tried to emulate, especially 3, which is just Heroes of Might and Magic plus. You know, it's Heroes of Might and Magic with a couple extra options. Again, this one is a lot like Warlords 2, but graphically much better. A lot more interactive too. Like, your heroes can actually cast spells and do things, whereas your heroes in Warlords are just they lead your army and give it bonuses and stuff. But they can use equipment. You can find them swords and stuff. But Heroes of Might and Magic was like that, but more so, like to the extreme. Very fun, lots of fantasy units, like unicorns and dragons and minotaurs and all that stuff. Really fun and really strategic, and actually quite hard. I believe this is actually free now, too. So if you just Google or use DuckDuckGo for Heroes of Might and Magic 2, I'm pretty sure it's freeware now. So if you haven't played it, I would recommend it. And someday when I get more time, I don't want this video to take like 2 hours and people to get bored. I would like to go through and talk about these games more in detail. So if you'd like me to talk about any of these in particular, let me know down in the comments. So, SimCity 2000 from 1993. You wouldn't believe it's from 1993. It's graphically stunning. Really one of the best games ever. The only thing I wish is that it had a bigger map. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've filled up the map with buildings, and then you start building arcologies, and then you start like filling in the water, like rivers and stuff, for more land to put buildings on. I wish there was an expansion pack that made the map like double the same size. But it's really fun. It's crazy fun. And unlike most games, there's no war or anything like that. It's just a city manager. It's the city manager. So the original is from 89. I went with 2000. It's from 93. I picked it because it's what I grew up on, and honestly, it's just the best of them all. I played 3 and 4. I didn't play the newest SimCity. Well, when I said 3, I meant SimCity 3000, but I haven't played the new one. That's just called SimCity. I heard it had some flaws, and honestly, what was it, City Skylines? That sounded really good, so if I was going to get a SimCity simulator, I would just get Skylines. But yeah, SimCity 2000 is crazy good. You have to manage your industry and your commercial and your residential, and there's all kinds of problems like any city. You have to tax people to get money for services. You have to have police and firemen. Crime is a problem. Pollution's a problem. You can even have city ordinances. Like, there's tons of little details. You can have like City Beautification Day if you want to pay for it, or you can have pollution controls and neighborhood watch and free reading program. Like, it actually tracks the IQ of the people in your city over time. Like, there's tons of graphs and stuff. And imagine, this is 93, so, you know, I was like 10 years old, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to plan out a route for my traffic, and like how many bus stations should I use? And like, is it worth demolishing this part of town so I can put a railway through? Should I build a highway? How many people should I have before I make an airport? Is it worth making an airport yet for the commercial that it'll bring in? At 60,000 people, they offer you a military base. Do you want to allow them to build it for the business it brings in, but it takes up some of your very limited land? So many things, and that's very strategic. And if you think about it, those are all really good just things like mentally to think about, like city planning, just it's a good career to go into, I guess. And it really, to this day, when I travel or go in a city, there's all kinds of things I think about because of this game and growing up playing it. Like commercial and like zoning, and even in my own town, I'm like, I see abandoned buildings, I'm like, well, that's going to kill the property values. I know about that stuff from SimCity. All right. So the next step, number 4, as we get lower, I'm more and more passionate about it. So SimCity 3 from 2001, sorry, Civilization 3, I've been talking for a bit. Civilization 3, the whole franchise of Civilization's incredibly good. I believe they gave it their number 1. I would honestly, I've got it at number 4. It could certainly be in the top 3 as well. It's an amazing game. The best turn-based game I've ever played. Definitely one of the best strategy games. It's really fun. You start out with just one settlement and one worker, and usually a warrior, sometimes a scout too. And yeah, you pick your civilization, so you can be China or America or Germany or Samaria or Egypt or Rome. There's quite a few choices. Each civilization has its own traits, like they're better at commercial, or they're better at farming, or they're better at fighting, or whatever. Oh, we're back to my favorite one. Just leave it here for the rest of the time, right? No, but, oh yeah, there's a computer ad. I was going to point that out too, but we'll get back to that. But anyways, yeah, Civilization's really cool. You pick your civ, you play, it has different traits, and you develop your city and your country, and it just gets bigger and bigger. Your technology gets bigger and bigger. You have to research things like wheels and, horseback riding, and you get all the way up to recycling and building satellites and stuff. So there's all kinds of things you go through, the industrial ages and all that. It's really fun and really hard. I kind of play on the moderate settings, like there's easy and then a couple and then like the moderate and then there's a few more and then it just gets harder and harder. Kind of play in that moderate area. So I have this era, I liked Civilization 3 the best. Overall, I like 4 the best, I think. So Age of Empires 2 is from 1999. Arguably the best RTS game of all time, although you'll see I have one past it. Very good game. I actually still play this once in a while from time to time, although I play Age of Empires 3 the most nowadays. But this is a really good game. It's still on Steam. Has a fairly good multiplayer community. It's a lot like Civilization, whereas you start, well, in this case, you start in the Dark Age, and you build up through around the Renaissance, but, you have spear guys and whatnot. It's really hard, knights and stuff. Basically, you just tech up. It's like any RTS, and there's different civilizations to choose from that have different attributes. It's really fun, though. I actually got this when it came out back in the day, so I have a lot of nostalgia for it, too. It's really fun. I would definitely recommend it. It's a really great game. So, let's see, number 2, Starcraft from 1998. So I didn't include like the expansion packs or anything. Like that would change the years on some of these, like Starcraft Brood War. I think that might still be 98, but you know what I mean. So anyways, Starcraft from 98, that was the multiplayer game I played the most as a teenager, definitely. I played this game to death. I loved it so much. I usually played as Terrans, are my favorites. I just kind of identified with them because, they're humans and the other 2 races are aliens, which I don't know if that's speciest or what, but I liked playing as Terrans a lot for various reasons. I thought they were really strong. If you think about it, you have to micromanage a lot, but you could really shut down the enemy. Like, you could lock down carriers, for instance, with ghosts, or you could irradiate you know, whatever the Zerg unit is. Like Overlords, you fly over there and irradiate a bunch of their Overlords, and then they can't make troops for a minute. It's kind of fun. There's all kinds of cool stuff. All the races were good, though. That was the best thing about Starcraft, was how balanced it is. You could play Terran, Zerg, or Protoss and be fine. If you know how to play them, you'd be fine. They're really good, and they were constantly getting balanced. There was a ton of patches. I remember they kept buffing Terrans for the longest time. Like, at first, Terrans were the weakest, and eventually they got to where it was pretty evened out. That one, though, in particular, is on here for the multiplayer. I really had a lot of fun growing up. Well, you know, as a teenager in particular, playing StarCraft. So that was a lot of good memories there. All right. And my number one choice, you may have guessed it, Diablo 2. So this one's partially on here because I've been playing it a lot lately, but I've just sunk like a stupid amount of time playing Diablo 2 over the years. I think RPGs are kind of like that, where they're a real time sink. They've got the reward structure. Aside from getting levels and skills and stuff, that's a constant reward, but also, you know, finding items, you get better equipment. It's just a little thrill, and it's a lot of fun. That one, too, I definitely played a lot of multiplayer. Mostly multiplayer. I did play through in single player before, but recently I've really been playing it a lot. My Amazon's almost done with the game. I'm on Hell difficulty, and I have to kill the Ancients and then Baal, and then I'm finished with playing through on that. She's doing pretty good. I just really need a better weapon. It's hard. I've been doing magic finding and trying to get a better weapon. She's found some crazy good items, but not really a good enough javelin yet. We'll get there, though. I think I killed Hell. Well, I know I killed Hell Diablo, so if I get past him, I got past him, so I'm pretty good. Alright, so Diablo 2, tons of fun, and I guess that's all for now. I talked for about half an hour, so I should probably wrap it up. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. Totally random topic, but I just wanted to talk about this for a change. I've been doing videos on this channel for almost 2 years, so sometimes there's going to be a different topic other than DC Comics. I think it's one way to keep myself engaged with the channel. So, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I upload videos to BitChute as well as YouTube, so you can follow me on BitChute. If you don't already, I'm also DC Fans United there. And really on any social media platform, just check for me. I'm DC Fans United. I'm on most, you know, like Gab and Minds and all that stuff. So, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Be sure to hit the bell for notifications. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. You can check me out on Patreon. You have special videos that are only on Patreon. They cost $2. It costs $2 to sign up. And that's all for now. And as always, thank you for watching and being a part of DC Fans United.